Hey y'all, it's Alan. Well met. I doing today is day 19 of the Community Vlogmas 2019. And today's question is, what was your introduction to your current practice? Well, if you've watched any of the previous videos, you know the story about when I was a teenager. I was raised in the Baptist style of upbringing, and then fell away from that on purpose as a result of unanswered questions about death and what happens in the afterlife, and what how homosexuality is viewed in the traditional conservative kind of Pentecostal, charismatic Pentecostal / Protestant religions of the Abrahamic variety, Christianity for short. So basically I left that religion behind because of the questions I had that weren't being answered, and the fact that, and because of the fact that I felt very unloved by God, and I felt very rejected by who Christians around me purported God to be. I felt very unloved and rejected by their deity, who was also my deity at the time, but I felt very, very bad that deity didn't want anything to do with me, who created me this way as a gay man, and decided that I was not worthy of his love afterwards. Like, who does that? So, anyways, on the day that Shirley MacLaine saved my life, I was in the midst of a suicide attempt and found her book, Going Within. And that led to my crystals and gemstones and chakras and all of that stuff, that obsession with that world. And I was like, this is awesome, because it means that there's a choice. And I don't have to be a part of this thing that doesn't want me, but I can be a part of this thing that doesn't really give a shit who I sleep with. And so that led to me doing, researching books, going to the public library and finding books. And I found a book called In the Shadow of the Shaman by Amber Wolf, and I found The New Pagans by Hans Holzer, and I found, I believe it was one of the earlier versions of True Magic by Amber Kay, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, those all led to all of the other books, like the Lynn V. Andrews books. Yeah, I think it was Lynn Andrews, because Linda Goodman wrote Star Signs and Sun Signs. I read Star Signs, and some of that's really cool. Like the lexigramming stuff is awesome. Like that shit works. Like, I'm just gonna say that stuff reveals some stuff. But anyways, so my introduction to my current practice was when I was 13, and after I had made the suicide attempt and went through all that stuff. So I was 13 and I was in school, and I had a friend who whose mother practiced Wicca. My friend introduced me to her mother, but her mother didn't want to initiate me or to train me or to teach me in anything for some strange reason. I have no idea. Other than the fact that maybe it was because I was a minor, I don't know. That reasoning was never articulated. But she did introduce me to my initiator, the high priestess, who initiated me at 13 years old into Faecraft. When I was introduced to this person, I had a few conversations with her before starting training in Faecraft. That was my introduction. It was not super fancy. It wasn't dramatic. It was just, you know, I was introduced through a mutual friend's mother, and we talked and had conversations, and then I became initiated into the Faecraft tradition. So from like 1995 to 2005, because I graduated high school in 95, I practiced the tradition solitary and explored other things too. Like, I explored like Buddhist meditation styles, various Buddhist meditation styles, and some Hindu deities and mythologies, and Kundalini yoga, and various forms of shamanism that I could find info about, and and sort of all of that kind of really became where I'm at. There was a time in my life, and I really don't recommend doing this, but I basically stood in ritual and threw up my hands and said, I'm fucking done. Just do with me whatever you want to do. And that was really stupid. Because at the time I was like, I want to write a book, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to blah, 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 blah. I want to be involved in the pagan community, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And it was like, you know what you got? You're going to be a high priest. And it was like, okay. Like, I honestly, for the life of me, never wanted to be a high priest. The first time I did a high priesthood thing, when I ran the first coven after my high priestess stepped down and retired and became an elder, the reason I did that was only because a bunch of other people were like, you got to be the high priest. And I didn't want to be the high priest. I was like, this is not a thing for me. And so I reluctantly took that position. Yeah, 95, we stopped practicing after we graduated high school. After I graduated high school. And then I stayed solitary until 05. So yeah, I mean, and then from like 2000, 2001 to 04, early 04, was that whole Christian stint and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, my life is far from ordinary. Even now, my life is far from ordinary. I freaking run a coven, and I never wanted to be a high priest, but here I am. My introduction to Faecraft was not dramatic at all, but it's still what is part of my life every day. I don't know if any of that made any sense. It was really rambly, but there you have it. Peace, blessed be, and namaste.